So I'm Chris McGee. I teach children's literature courses here at Longwood. I'm also a film professor, so I teach art of film. I teach introductory citizenship classes on popular movies. I love to teach film in every class that I can. The most famous would be The Exorcist, and if you weren't paying attention, it's easy to miss that The Exorcist even mentions a Ouija board.
Hey, where'd this come from?
And there's ambiguity in the film about how the demon appears. There's a noise up in the attic, they have a Ouija board, but that's probably the most famous. And then there was a very short period in the 80s where it showed up in a couple of movies, such as actually a pretty good one called Witchboard. And then the one that I mentioned in my piece is semi-respectable. It's called Paranormal Activity, where there's an entire scene that features a Ouija board. They're trying to capture ghosts in the house, and they set a Ouija board up, and it sort of catches on fire. And then it sort of was sent off into those low-budget things that you would have to search the corners of Netflix to find, Ouija Shark and Ouija Mummy and all of those sorts of things. But you know, The Exorcist is probably one of the most respected horror films ever made, so for it to appear there, I think, is impressive. Although there are two pretty great movies called Ouija and Ouija Origin of Evil, and actually the second one, directed by Mike Flanagan, is fantastic, and so those two movies are I would point to as pretty strong examples. I know this is generalizing, but there is a period from 2007 to 2009 where I feel like the emergence of YouTube and the kind of corresponding emergence of creepypasta sort of like found each other. And I think that changed the nature of how things were filmed on screen. Before that, you had, multi-camera film, and the Ouija board was sort of a plot point. But the moment that YouTube became in the public consciousness, and the moment that people felt like they could tell individual stories, it sort of exploded, and then it became something that you could record on a shaky camera. So I think that the concept of the Ouija board has largely remained the same. This idea that it's something that kids play with that they shouldn't, and that if you aren't careful, it's gonna bring forth some demon. That has really not changed. The same plot has appeared forever, but it became so popular once it became sort of something that you could do at home, that you could film it. And so the playing of the game, I think, became different. It became something that you could document and show your friends, oh, look what happened. And that became a concept for a movie. It's very easy to fake, but it's also like, look, we caught it on camera. And when you catch something on camera, it must be real. But that's the phenomenon, is that it's kind of this double move that what we watch on YouTube we know is fake, but we also pretend it's not fake because, what if it's real? And when it's like a sort of Venn diagram. Once those two things combined, it just became such an easy storytelling device. It's just sort of like, let's get a camera, let's film ourselves playing, and ooh, you swing the camera over and the window shook, it's like you got a movie. That's all you need.
Not even B grade, but like Z grade. Speaking of ghosts.
Yeah, I thought I was going crazy.
No, it was the lights were going on and off, like the house lights. Okay.
Scared. I was like, all right, guys. I was already kind of like unsure about this combo, and now I'm just freaked out.
I was probably on camera too, at least a little bit.
See, that's what we're talking about. We caught it on camera.
We caught it on camera. There it goes again. Oh my gosh. Look at a wide shot of this. Oh, that's so weird. And now they're just off.
And you said you don't believe in this stuff?
That's the thing, I don't know.
I don't know. Don't know now.
I'm skeptical enough.
I don't know. Let's find out. I just walk up here. Yeah, keep recording. If I die, I want it to be on camera that I got killed by a ghost.
We're making a horror film.
Huh. Weird.
Okay. It's a little creepy, a little spooky.
There seems to be this insistence that it's a game.
It's just like a game, like checkers or chess.
Yesterday you said it was just a game.
It's just a game.
It's just a stupid game.
But it's not a game. They always say, like, it's not a game. And so the premise of what I'm writing about is, like, that's sort of a misleading because it's a game. It's supposed to be fun in a way. And so the same trend happens every time in every plot. These friends get together and they don't take it very seriously.
Come on, they sell them in toy stores.
And then something happens and then they do take it very seriously. So once you set up that pattern, the rest of the movie is just running around the house and, like, you know, trying to capture things. Every plot seems to replicate the same idea, which is like, is this real or is it not real? And then, as long as you have that, it could be a witch or as I said, there's mummies and sharks and all of those sorts of things. It's also just a storytelling device. Like, what are we going to do? How do we get this monster to emerge? And so, usually, what they'll do in movies is like some sort of ceremony where you draw a pentagram or something and you have all these candles and stuff. But that's very intentional. Like that shows you that people are meaning to do it. With a Ouija board, it's sort of like, oh, we didn't mean for this to happen. And so it's sort of like an accident. So I think that it is a fruitful and easy plot device. Like immediately when you bring it up, people know what it is. It's a great opening. I think that when movies stumble upon something that is so easy to use, they're just going to exhaust it. And this has become that sort of like storytelling device. I'm really interested in sort of when one movie figures out an idea that is so replicable and why that idea and how it keeps showing up over and over and over and over again. Like once that happens, you can tell that we've stumbled upon something that pleases the audience. And when you know something pleases the audience, you're hitting upon a cultural idea. And so to me, that's really key. There's a long ceremony around playing a Ouija board. And so I think they use that to their advantage, is that you have a whole part of the film about everybody showing up. You have them sitting around, you have them turning off the lights. So I think the whole act of sitting around a Ouija board is itself a whole tension building. I think that it's also, when you play with a Ouija board, the ghost is not necessarily visible. And so it uses that to its advantage as well, is that you don't have to show the monster, you don't have to show the demon, you could show it in sort of tangential ways. And it's very easy if you, of course, anyone knows anything about Ouija, the fact that it moves, you can do that very easily with like moving the board and those sorts of things. In my article, I talk about how when you combine those two things, that it feels like something's authentically happening, but you don't know if it's authentically happening. That is the perfect element of Ouija. Like we're convinced this moved, but we also don't know if we moved it. I think every person who's probably, and by the way, I've never done this in my life. You know, I don't believe it, but I don't want to mess around with it. But I think anyone who's ever done it, there's that small part of their brain which is like, did this really happen? But you know you're moving it in a way. That's the phenomenon, I think, of the game, is that it's sort of community storytelling. Like, did we fool ourselves? Horror deals with things that have not gone away, that are still lingering. And so I think the Ouija board is something that is an easy portal for something that we can access that's in the past. And so there is a sense of, we have not solved the problems that are of the past in whatever side of the political spectrum. And so anytime you have a portal to something from the past, it sort of emerges and brings forth something that we need to solve. And so you can take that in the direction of that we need to face our past crimes. Or what a lot of movies do is to say, we've been too lenient, we've been too careless, we haven't protected what we need to. And so many of these movies are about, we need to protect our family. And so it draws those lines even more carefully. Every Exorcist movie is really ultimately kind of conservative in its nature, which is, our culture has been too careless about the line between good and evil. And we need to establish that line even stronger. And so that's why I think this is neither a left or right sort of storytelling, it is useful in both directions to remind us of the things we need to look at, or the things we need to pay attention to, or the things we need to reinforce. Whether or not people like horror films, I think they are the kind of storytelling mechanism to remind us of what we should be paying attention to.